start recording. We're all good. So last Saturday, we just had some background of what we are going to discuss and how our class schedule is going to be. So today we're going to start with reports in the first place. So we're going to start with custom reports. Before going to some report, I heard you guys already have seen some standard reports in the tenant, right? So some standard reports are probably higher enrollment. This is a standard report. There are some standard reports that are available for the users based on the security to run those reports, right? Let's say, for example, you are fine with all the fields that are available on the standard report, but you just want to add a couple of more fields. Okay? Let's say when you run this report, when you run this report, you have nothing like 10. Okay, let's say you have all these 11 or 12 fields here, but you want more number of fields now added. Let's say you want to add the compensation as well in this, right? So you don't want to create the entire thing, right? All you can do is copy a standard report and add more fields. In that case, there are a couple of tasks to do it. So one is copy standard report to custom report, very straightforward. So you pick a standard report, new hire employment, it's a standard report. You just click on copy and you can name it. You can name it instead of copy, you can say this is a custom report. Okay. And the report type is obviously set by default itself. So it is advanced and just click OK for now. So this is how you copy a standard report into a custom report. But before going more details into what these fields are, I'll just go into basics now. So when you're creating reports, right, you have 4 or 5 different sets of reports. But let's start with simple reports for now. So when you create a simple report, create a custom report, you have options to pick data sources first. So let's go, what is a data source? Data source is, you can say it's more of a combination of tables, and it has its own set of filters and prompts. So it's more of a set of data that is available for you to report upon, right? So when you pick data sources, let's say let's pick all workers. To pick all workers, I see, I don't have. What happened to all workers? Okay. Yes. Okay. Anyways, so when you pick a data source, right? First of all, I always say read the description of the data source, like what this data source is doing, and how do I identify whether the data source is right for my business requirement or not, right? That is basically shown in this description. It says access the workday as its primary business object and returns 1 row per worker. Includes all workers, even the workers to be hired in the future. So first line is saying like it always takes worker as its primary business object and it returns 1 row per worker. So when you use this data source, it's gonna use worker as its primary business object. That means whatever is the primary business object, typically you get those many rows. Let's say you pick worker as your primary object, then you get 1 row per worker. If you create something on job profile, you have a job profile as your primary business object. That means you get 1 row per job profile. So it includes all workers, even workers to be hired in future. Tell me about this. This is basically saying when you run this report, I am also going to include workers that are hired in the future. That means workers who have hired date in future. Right? It does not contain any built-in prompts. This data source can be used to build reports on all workers, right? There are some tips if you want to pick a different data source and all, but let's also see other sources. You have one more called all active and terminated workers. So similar description, acts as worker as primary business object and returns one row per worker, only includes all active and terminated workers. In this case, it's not including future data hires. It is only including all the active and terminated workers. Like it. No one, it's not including the workers that are in the future. So both these data sources are using worker as the primary business object. That means both these data sources will have one row per worker, but when you use all active and terminated workers, you will get only active and terminated workers, not the workers that are hiding in the future. When you use all workers, you're going to get everyone. In this case, for active workers, all fields are as of the current date or the effective date. That means when you use this data source for all active employees or active workers, all the fields are calculated or all the fields will give values as of the current date, or that means as of the report run date, or whatever the date you pass as effective date. It's specified. For terminated workers, all fields are always as of the last day of the work. Let's say, for example, you have a terminated worker in Workday. We'll see the difference between these data sources anyways, but let's say you have a terminated worker in Workday with a termination date of 7/1/2019, right? When you run a report as of 7/1/2019, that worker's compensation is 100,000. But on 7/2, the worker is not an employee now; he's terminated, right? On 7/2, you will not see any compensation values for those workers. Let me put a note here. Take some notes. So example, let's pick worker termination date is 07/01/2019. Let's say when you run the report is run on 7/1/2019. Let's say in this case, we are using a data source called all workers. When the report is run as on 7/1/2019, you will see all the information good because the termination date is 7/1/1920. But if the report is run, same report is run on 7/2/2019, some of the worker fields, like some of the worker fields that are effective dated, that has effective date on backend of like compensation, will be blank. For example, compensation will be blank on 7/2 because the worker's compensation is only as of 7/1 because after 7/1 he's terminated. He does not have any compensation in Workday, right? When you run with all workers, that is how it's gonna look like. The same thing when you run with all active and terminated workers. All active and terminated workers, same thing, 7/1. Whatever the information is shown on 7/1 is same as the information that is shown on 7/2. Because this data source will always give worker information as of their termination date if they're terminated. So whatever the value this worker has as of 7/1, that is the only value it's going to output, right? It's not going to give blank anymore, or it's not going to give a different value. It's going to give always the termination value. So that's the difference between these two data sources. So when you're running or when you're reading a business requirement, you will have to think about it when you're picking the data source. Let's say you want future hires, right? You want someone who is hired in August or September as well. You don't have an option. You have to pick this data source because all workers is the only data source that includes future hires. And then you write some conditions how to get the data of termination workers as well. But if you don't want future hires, and if you're fine, you can use all active and terminated workers because they don't have future hires. But they have all the information of all the employees as of a certain termination date. Right? So the big thing is, so let's see an example with two different data sources and how it looks like. Before going to the data source, we'll start with simple reports. There are multiple report types like we discussed on Saturday. We're going to start with simple reports. Let's pick all workers first. Then name it. The name of the report is up to you. I usually follow naming convention starting with CR, CR as custom report. We'll look at the temporary report later, not that important. So when you're building a simple report, right? When you look at a simple report, all you have is three options here. You have columns, sort, and filter. Okay. You'll have columns, sort, and filter. So in these columns, you can pick fields, like what fields you want your report to be on. The first field I would always want is my employee ID. I want to see what's my employee ID of the worker that I am outputting. And then you can look for legal name. There are a lot of legal names out there, right? So you can now the same thing like you did for data sources. You will now read the description of the field that you're getting. So there, it says legal name, first name. In the description says worker's first legal name or the given name. Right. This is the Workday delivered field that means delivered directly by Workday. You have this name. Same thing as for last name. Thing is there. And the middle name. Do you have one more legal name? No. Right. So I'm going to use legal first name now. The last name. Oh, sorry, I used the wrong field. Right, if you see, when you see legal name, this is legal first name, and you have legal name first name. Little confusing with the naming convention by Workday here. So this one, legal first name, is legal first name of the candidate. It is coming from the candidate object. Typically, it's coming like whatever the candidate for this worker, whatever the candidate is associated. Like this worker is a candidate at one point in time, right? We'll give that person. If we require worker's legal name, we have to look for description and say, okay, this worker's legal or first name and the object is worker. I'm going to pick that, not legal name, last name. So let's pick termination. I also want the base pay. Total base pay. We see there are a lot of total base pays here because this is a calculated field. This is not a Workday delivered field. You don't see any Workday delivered text here, right? This is a cal field. And then this is also a calculated field. Someone named the calculated field saying new total base pay amount. It doesn't mean we'll see what that cal field is in later classes, but it might give a value as you're expecting. It might not, but when you go with a Workday delivered field, this is the Workday delivered field, total base pay amount, the base pay of an employee's primary job. This is the sum of employees' compensation element. It basically gives you what is the base pay of the worker, and it is a work delivered field. Use that. Just click OK. You see the report output has 394 employees, and then we got all the information for all the employees here. So let's say you got Jill Jones, first name, everything, and this Peggy, you got a termination date. She's terminated. She's not active at the moment. Right. Let's see, copy Peggy. Let's go here. Peggy Whitcomb is terminated, but her total base pay is 234,000. Right? But if you see, the total base pay amount is set to 0. Okay, in this example, it came out as 0. If you want to just verify if total base pay amount is coming correct or not, let's go for employee 1, Jill Jones account. And then let's go for overview compensation. 171.01.87, right? And that is the total base pay amount you got on the report. You're getting values for all the employees, but you're not getting for the terminated workers. Same thing with this terminated worker as well. You don't see any value there, or you basically see 0 because the total base pay is 0. I'll use the same report. Okay, I'm going to build an exact same report, but what I'm going to do is instead of using all workers, I'm going to use all active and terminated workers. Let's see the difference. Okay. Same exact field. I use the exact same fields. I'm going to run the report. If you see, Peggy Whitcomb now has the total base pay as well, right? In this initial report with all workers, we know we have a total base pay of 0. And then when you see all active and terminated workers report, you see the total base pay amount. All you're using is the same exact fields, right? The same exact fields on the same exact object, but you're depending on your data sources, your data changes, right? Every field is on the same worker object. Worker, I use same exact. Same exact field. Okay. Just try to remember this. When you're picking a data source, it's really important you to think through it and see what type of data you want in the report, and then how do you want to get it, right? I mean, whether all workers will do the job, or should you have to go to all active and terminated workers, right? Or you might have to go for a different data source altogether. Right? That's how we did it. So let's stick with all active and terminated workers for now, right? Like I said, this is data source, all active and terminated workers. Your primary business object is set to worker. I'm going to go to actions, edit my custom report edit. What I'm going to do is I can add more fields. I can add fields that are available on the worker object, right? Now let's say I only need employees that are hired after 1/1/2019. right? I only need employees hired after 1/1/2019 in this year, right? What you can do is you have an option here called filter. So what this filter is going to do is it's going to filter out records based on your condition. So when you say condition, so always a condition is what? Condition is x equal to a. So you have two variables or two fields that compare with each other and gives you a true or false, right? If the condition is true, the value is included. If the condition is false, the value is excluded. Or, sorry, the row is excluded. So just add a line within the filter and then say, I'll say, what is the operator now? My operator is greater than or equal to, or I can pick anything, but I'm going to pick greater than or equal to, and I can give it a date, saying 01/01/2019, right? Then just click OK. It's run it. Then if you see, I only got 91 records out of the 394 or whatever, because I filtered out all the employees or all the employee records except for this 91 records, which are nothing but hire date is greater than 1/1/2019. All are new hires. You see here, most of the people have 0 as total base pay, even though we are using all active and terminated. I believe it's because people did not assign them any salaries or something. That's probably why. That is how you filter it. Okay, now people might ask, okay, how do I say I only need employees that are hired in the last 3 months, or from 1/1/2019 to March 1st, 2019, I only need that set of employees. Right? You can do this on a filter, just add one more line, and then say same hire date is greater than or equal to here, and then say less than or equal to 03/01/2019. Okay. And what I'm saying is my hire date is greater than 1/1/2019, and my hire date is less than 03/1/2019. Let's see how many we'll get. We got only four people somewhere in March and January. March, Feb, Jan, 3 months. Okay. If you guys have noticed, within this filter option, we have something called condition and or, right? What is and what is or? Currently, this is set to end. That means it is looking at condition 1 and condition 2, right? You guys remember, it's like the, I don't know, maybe like digital logic conditions we have done in our bachelor's, I believe. So you have your and or condition, right? Typically an and or. So you have an and condition here that satisfies saying that hide date and matches this condition and this condition. But if you put or, all you're saying is whether this condition is true or this condition is true, just include my record in the output, right? In this case, if I just leave it like that with an or condition like this, hide date greater than or equal to 1/1/2019 or hide date less than or equal to 3/1/2019, I believe it should give all 394 or 393. Right? I mean, that's because it's an or condition. It satisfied everybody's hire dates. Or I can also say something like this. I'll say legal name first name not equal to, I'll say contains legal name contains first name contains PI, or my legal name first name contains EE. Or I can add one more condition if you want. It's on the report, look at the legal name first name, contains, okay. I mean, this is three conditions, right? So whatever workers satisfy any of these three conditions, either one, two, three, any of these three conditions will be included in the output. But if I have an end here, that means probably none of the employees will satisfy all of these three conditions, right? Let's put or. So I have 13 employees, everybody having at least JI, P, or J. Every James, Jack, everybody got in here, right? That's how you build, you play with your and or conditions. It's like your regular conditions, like any language. Just use an and or. You can use it in combination also, and or. But when you use with simple reports, you will not be able to use the combination of it. You either use an and or you either use an or, but you can't use a combination. But when we move to advanced, you can use both combination and or. Okay. Instead, we have one more thing here. We have an option to sort. So what is sort? Like the word says, it sorts out rows with the condition that we give. Right. Let's say you wanna sort everything by last name. You can pick the fields on report, last name. I want to sort it alphabetically. Click OK. So if you see, previously it used to be Peggy. It used to sort by employee ID previously. Now it is sorting by legal name, last name. It's ampersand and everybody in the order. So that's how a simple report is. It's pretty straightforward. All you can do is pick all the fields or columns that you want based on your primary business object, and pick on the whatever the sort condition you want and whatever the filters you want, and set it out on a simple report. Right. But the question people will come is, how do you know what field is available on what object? Let's say, how do you know this first name is available on worker object only, right? What I can do is, I have an option called go for BO column, pick for worker. The worker business object. These are all business objects. Bill worker, billing rate, there are a lot of business objects, but I'm looking at worker business object. It's going to take a minute to load. A minute. Yeah, while it is loading, let's discuss data loaded. Okay. Okay, the worker business object has 3,152 fields. This includes both work they delivered and also the calculated fields that people create on the worker business object. These are all calculated fields. This is work they delivered field. These are around 3,152 fields. Like whenever you create a calc field on an object, it shows up on the business object report. So if you're looking for a field on a worker business object, but you don't see or you don't have it on a report, you can also search here and see if I have that field on the worker business object first place. So legal name, first name, last name, these are the fields that we used, right? So these are there here. So one thing I want to discuss is next is the data types. What are all the data types that exists in Workday? Like what are all the field types, typically field types that exist in Workday? So let's start with text. Like any text field outside of Workday as well, it's just this field type outputs the value in text. Let's say your first name, last name, employee ID, business title, job title. Those are all text fields. So the value out of it is in the format of text. There is nothing more than that, just a simple text. And then next comes numeric. The numeric fields typically, like the name says, it gives the number, the value of a field. I mean, it basically gives you a number in the output. Numeric fields are denoted by hash. Text fields are denoted by T. Numeric fields are denoted by hash. And then you have Boolean, denoted by TF. So what is a Boolean? Like, Boolean is always a true or false condition, right? The output of a Boolean field is either true or false, 1 or 0. So it doesn't have to validate a condition, but it itself is a condition. It itself returns a true or false. And then you have a single instance. We'll see all these examples. And we have a multi-instance. What is a single instance and a multi-instance? Let's go back to our presentation. Okay. In this case, like we discussed yesterday, your employee or the worker is the business object, and you have your compensation grade as your one-to-one mapping. Like every employee has one compensation grade. So that is your single instance typically. Or every employee has one manager level 1. Like it has only one manager in the system. That is a single instance. Employee can have multiple dependents. That is multi-instance, like one-to-many. Employee can speak multiple languages. That is one-to-many. That is multi-instance. Right. So what it is typically saying is single instances and multi-instances are they usually refer to another field or something or another object where you can also action upon it. And depending on whether it's a single instance or a multi-instance, your number of rows increase. Let's click an example for single instance. We'll type let's say position. I believe position. So position is a single instance, and all positions are multiple instances, multi-instance. So in some clients, a person can occupy multiple positions, right? Or this basically gives all the positions that the worker is associated with or worker held over time. Like typically from the beginning of his hire date, what are all the positions he have been held, like whether he might be promoted, demoted, but there might be multiple positions that he might have taken. Right? Based on it, it contains all the positions a worker has held over time. So this field will result in all those positions, whereas this field will result in the current primary position that the worker is in. Right? If you see this position is a single instance field, you identify it with one arrow. This is a multi-instance field you identify with three arrows going out. So that's an identification between single and multi-instance. And then you'll have text fields are identified with T. When you see a T, that means the output is text. These are useful when we go deep into integrations, like why data types are needed, because you can't, I mean, one other type, you can't add two text fields, right? You can concat them, but you can't say add first name plus last name. Right? You can't automatically add it, right? Only numbers can be automatically added. So those are all some things that we'll see when we go deep, why these data types are important. This is a field, and you'll also see a currency. Currency is also a number, but you can do a lot of options, like you can convert. There is a calfield function saying convert currency, where it converts one currency from USD to whatever the currency you want. If the currency conversion values are loaded, then where you can do it. So it is given by $1, and then you have Boolean. It's given by a true or false condition. There is also, I think, a rich text. Rich text is more of a text field only, but if you have more, it can fit a larger amount of data, like a paragraph or something. Usually, Workday, I believe text fields are limited to 255. I haven't tried more than that, but they will take 255 for sure, as the length of the text field. Whereas rich text is more of a paragraph style. Like you can have more things in there, and you can also have an enter or special characters, everything in there. This is rich text, right? So this is your worker object. Any questions so far? Anything I went quickly?
Krishna, if you want to have a multiple filter.
Come again? You want to have multiple?
Multiple filters, basically a combination of and or.
Yeah, that we'll see in advanced reports. Okay. Simple reports, I don't know why they still have it like this. These are, I mean, I never use it because they never give me the capability of doing a lot of stuff. All I have is one business object. I can't even look into a different business object. Like I can't even look into position and get information from position associated with the worker. All I can do is look at just one business object here and then get information from there. And like I said, only one type of condition, either and or. When you go to the next report types, you'll have more control and more flexibility also when adding and creating reports. And we'll see them there. Like this will give you a basic idea, like what is a report and what are all columns and all those things only.
Krishna, in the filter, you hard-coded date field, right? So for a certain date. So do we have an option to just to limit to the system date without hard coding the date?
Yes, but not with simple reports. We'll look into it with that one. Yep, keep that question in there. We'll answer it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now this is pretty simple. There's nothing in there. Probably you won't even use this type of report ever. But this has to be a starting point. So I started with this. Okay, so now you have a simple report built, and you have all these fields, everything added, and we discussed data types as well. We looked at the business object. I'm just thinking if I missed anything. We looked at the difference between data sources. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. The next thing we'll do is we'll again create a report. This time we'll look for an advanced report. We'll use the same data source. Okay. So I'm not picking an object here, but whenever I pick a data source, the object is by default based on the data source. So this is your advanced report. Like you see, when compared to your simple report, which only has 3 options, this one has a lot more. It has sort, filter, sub-filter, prompts, control output style, you share it with anyone. There are a lot more options here. That's one reason it's called as advanced. And when you also look at the column structure and everything, like how you build it, let me edit this as well really quick so you see the difference. So over here, you are directly selecting a field. right? This field is always on the worker business object or always on the primary business object of your report. In this case, there is an option for you to select a business object and then return the field associated with. I can add one more line and I can go for a different business object. I can go for a position here. Or all positions or position. And then I can get the position ID. So that's why when I name my calculated field, I name it starting with CF or something, so I know the difference. In this case, this is a work delivered field, position ID, and someone named exact same name for the cal field also. So I would rather name it differently. Yes. So I have my primary business object as worker, and I was able to select a secondary business object here. It is position, and I will be able to access information from position as well. Right. Previously, I was only able to access information from worker. Now I'm accessing information from position as well. Let's look for, let's say, job classification. Job classification. I'm not sure if it's available. Oh, come on. This one. This job classification all, this field is based out of position management, or position business object, contains all the job classifications for the position, and this field, exact field, is not available for me on the worker. And that exact field is not available for me on the worker object. I should be able to get it from the position object. That means I'm basically looking up from worker table into a secondary table and getting a value associated for that worker's position, right? And you can go multiple objects here. You can go say dependent. You can pick a multi-instance dependent. Give me the name of the dependent. Give me the ID of it, or reference ID. And I can move my fields. I can order my fields in the order that I want. I don't think we can do it here as well. That's so cool. Yeah. I can order my fields here, whatever wants me first. And I can also rename my head. Let's say I want this header to be renamed as dependent reference ID. And this is dependent legal name. And that is the employee. Yeah. I can rename my column headings as well. Just let me click OK. Let's just see the output of it. Yeah. When you see, you have a lot of rows here. It's because your employee one still, which is your employee legal name, with the position ID and with this job classification, has 3 dependents. So all these 3 dependents are associated with the first employee. Right? The second employee here does not have any, or she has only 1 dependent in this case. So that's why she only got 1 line. There might be employees with no dependents, which are basically giving you blank. So when you run a report with the multi-instance, this is how you see your information. If there are multiple rows or multiple items in your multi-instance field, they basically repeat after your first line. So you have your first row for the worker, and the multi-instance field adds the next 2 because there are multiple dependents. Whereas position is a single instance, so you always see only part of the worker line, worker row. We'll just look at filters in this case as well. So I'm going to add a couple of more. So add a hide date. Publication date. Active status. It's okay. So just refresh this thing. I want to see my new field here. I got my active status, I got my termination date, I updated it up. So let's edit the report back. Let's add a filter. The difference between the filter there and here is you don't see that end or condition here. If you go for the filter in the simple report, you just see one condition here. But in the advanced report, when you add a line, for that particular line, you have an end and or. So let's say in this case, I want to do hire date. Hire date, same thing, greater than or equal to 01/01/2019. I can say or termination date less than, let's see, 01/2019. I can also add one more condition saying or from the report. Legal first name contains JI. So this is a combination, right? What I can do is I'm going to add one more thing. I can add brackets right here. These are like my conditions within conditions. I can write conditions within conditions saying legal name, first name, same thing, contains JA. Yeah, and I close my bracket. So this is nothing but if your hire date is greater than or equal to 1/1/2019, let's not make this. Let's not make this. Okay. Or your legal name contains bill, or let's put this as an. So you have your hire date greater than or equal to 1/1/2019, and within this you have an entire condition. This is entire set condition here, saying legal name contains B or legal name contains legal name contains JA, and the bracket is closed. Right? If I click OK, you can read this condition also, I believe, right here in the filter area. Hire date greater than or equal to 1/1/2019, and brackets have been opened here. So right now, it should look for everybody hire date greater than 1/1/2019, and also it should match either one of these two conditions, right? If legal name matches, first name matches JI, contains JI, it should give, or first name matches JA, it should give. Rest of the information, it should not give, right? So let me refresh my report. I only see 4 items now. Everybody has I think this guy has JI. Okay, this way JI, J, and everybody's hire date should be greater than 1/1/2019. Right? That is how you use the combination of both and or. I mean, you can write any number of conditions. You can say active status equal to true. If I need termination people also, the termination date should be less than or equal to 30 days or 90 days. Right? Those type of conditions you can definitely write here. So any questions so far? We have 4 more minutes. I don't want to go after 7:30. That's already 10:30 for East Coast. We will be sleeping. So
Krishna,
send it here. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
Krishna, based on the columns, can you click on the columns for this query report? Yeah, we do have 2 different business objects, right? One is worker and the other one is dependents. If both the business objects have the same field name, then how can we use it in a filter? Like legal name.
So one more thing. Yeah, before you go, one more thing just got me. So in the filter, let's say if I'm adding, I say fields on report, right? This will only give me anything that is on the primary business object. You see all these fields are on the worker. You don't see job classification here. You don't see dependent reference ID here. You don't see even dependent first name, that field here, right? So your filter is always on the primary business object. Okay?
Oh, okay.
That means when you're filtering the rows. Okay? You're not filtering dependents. You're not filtering anything in this section. All you're doing is filtering the entire row. I mean, if the condition doesn't match us, it will remove the row itself. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do one thing. Let's remove the filter. You asked. I'm going to just put this, click OK, and then give you a preview here. Okay, right here. And do I have any dependents? Come on. Nobody has dependents. Dependent age. This filter, say less than or equal to in this case. Okay, now I have my dependents, everybody here, right? So I only have 370 items. I filtered everything, had data after 1/1/2019. So this information is this. So your filter is always doing on your primary business object. Like until here, you only see these fields on your filter, not the position information or not even dependent information, right?
Right.
For that, you have one more thing called subfilter. Subfilter. Within subfilter, when you add a line, you can select which business object you want to filter upon. You can say dependent, and you can say what fields you want to filter upon. You can say age. Let's say less than 20, for example. Okay. Just click OK. I'm going to run it here. See, you got only 307 lines now compared to 370. And then if you look at the first record, Jill, right? If you look at Jill, Jill's dependents are all 25, 23, and 49. Okay. Jill's record is still there when you do a subfilter, but Jill's dependents are gone because you're filtering on the dependent object. So you're subfiltering it. So subfilter is like a subset, just removing that subset off from the report. It will not impact anything on your primary business object. That means it will not impact the number of rows or number of workers that will output. It will only impact the number of sub or secondary business object fields that are in the output.
So it's always left outer join, right? That's how I should take it.
Yes.
Okay. And the second
yes,
question,
you get everything in this, and you don't get it.
Yeah. And the second question I have is, we never we just selected the data source and then we selected multiple business objects, and Workday automatically itself, it mapped the primaries and then it pulled the data accordingly, right? We didn't do anything there.
Yeah. Yes. We didn't do anything here. We just picked up the field and Workday will do it.
So we should always pull the related object somehow. We should always key in, or else it will bombard with invalid data.
I didn't get it. Then come again.
So
You said,
should I always give one primary and related objects only so that I get the meaningful data? If I give two different business objects, those are not related at all, then it cannot pull the data, right? Is that true?
Yeah. Okay. About to explain it tomorrow, but anyways, when you got it here, the worker has a set of related business objects. It has only links to 503 business objects, or it has links from 463 business objects. So when you pick worker as your primary business object, you only have access to pick these 503 items, in which position is also 1. Okay.
So it automatically enforces
So
us whenever
to
we
answer
pick.
your question, you will not be able to pick any other object that is not related to worker. For example, I don't know if we have supplier or something in finance that's not even related to worker. If I'm able to try it here, I don't think it will give anything. It is coming. Supply is also linked. Or let's say general ledger. Like general ledger. General ledger by itself is an object. If I look for BO/general line, it's by itself a business object. But if I try to pull it in my report, it will not come because it is not associated anywhere to worker. Okay. So you will not be able to do it in the first place. So your question is, will Workday do it or not? Because you will not be able to pick it. You'll only be able to pick that the Workday has that the objects that are linked between, because in that is the only way, right? Workday can identify, okay, worker is related to position. There might be some mapping in the back end saying that how these two are connected. Okay. So if the object is not connected, you will not be able to pick.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, anyone?
Krishna, I have a question. So
yeah, tomorrow we'll see.
Okay.
Right.
So I have a question. So, but you'll answer that tomorrow.
Go ahead.
So
No.
you selected only one data source, right? So all workers and termination. So and all workers will have a future dated terminations, right? Or future dated hires. But in all workers and terminations,
all workers will have
future dated hires. So, but all active and terminated workers will not have any future dated hires, right?
Yes, that's for the data source description.
So if user wants both like all active employees with the future dated as well as terminated workers, their compensation. So can I bring that in one report? Or is it not possible?
Yes, you can bring it, but we have to those some set of information, right? That you will not see values after the termination date. For those set of information, you will create some calculated fields. So there are workarounds around that.
Okay.
When we go to calculated fields, I'll give you something called lookup value as of date. That looks up value as of a particular date. So you say lookup value as of a termination date for compensation always.
Okay.
Then it looks up
so
as
with
of
the
that date.
calculated fields, that is possible. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Hey, Krishna.
I think you can also change data sources in between if you want.
So we can bring two
different data sources.
Different data sources. Okay. Okay. I thought only one data source can.
I can just change it to. I mean, always one data source, but you can change it afterwards to something else if you want.
So after building the report, we can change back the data source? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you can change it, but
But
the data will come with as per the data source only, right?
right. So I want both actually. So the compensation data as well as the future dated hires.
Yeah,
So
then we will use some cancels to do it.
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Krishna,
Somebody is asking. Yeah, right.
are we recording these sessions and where are we storing this one?
Yeah, we are recording. I will share you a link today with the recording as well.
Okay, thanks.
So
I'll
Krishna,
give you a OneDrive link that you'll have it.
so in the filter, can we limit to system date instead of hard coding in the advanced report? You said you'll answer that in advanced report.
Yeah. So we will go through it tomorrow. We have to discuss some other concepts prompts before doing that. We'll see that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If everybody's fine,
Thank you.
let's call it a day. We will talk same time tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, you can post it in the group as well, our WhatsApp group, and we can chat anytime. Okay.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Krishna.